Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Good morning, everyone. If you'll please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In our inspirational word for the day, there are different kinds of spiritual gifts, different ways of serving, and different abilities to perform service. Our warden has the dog this morning.
But this is Kennel 19. He's available right now. Pit Bull mix, male, and we have 27 other dogs in the kennel. So come and see us. Thank you.
Madam Clerk,
We have a presentation at 9:45, but did you want to do that
I
now?
think we are going to do that now, if we could. Don Romancak, our Community Development Director, who I understand had a birthday yesterday.
Thank you.
So happy birthday,
Happy
first
birthday.
off.
We're not going to sing, though.
You won't
That's
sing.
okay.
No, you don't
I
want
appreciate that.
Okay.
It was a beautiful day yesterday,
Yes,
and
it was.
we did get a lot of stuff accomplished, including finalizing the two presentations you'll be seeing today on EPA, U.S. EPA grants that the county has been able to receive, showing two different ways that the EPA is working with us to not only protect the environment but improve our economy. First one I'm going to start with on the presentation is the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, and it has we've received 3 grants on that for invasive species removal. Also, if you remember, we had received a 4th grant on Willow Creek that I talked about a couple of weeks ago. With that, I'd like to bring Lynn Ickes up, who works with the crew, and then after she's done here, she'll be running out to get the crew back out to work, helping to protect our environment and also improve our local economy by providing work. And she'll give you a nice overview of what we've done and where we're going with the project. So thank you.
Thank you.
If I could have the screen change, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lynn Ickes, and I am the Watershed Specialist for Lorain County. As you can see, there's a beautiful picture there of the Black River. This is an overview of all 3 phases, Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3 of the GLRI Invasive Species Grant, featuring the BRCCC, which is the Black River Civilian Conservation Crew. As you can see from the picture, we have our signs in many different forms at different locations. We've got Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3 in order. That's a picture of the end of the Phase 1 season crew. Our challenges for these grants have been twofold. The challenge put before us is to control and or eradicate our 4 different invasive species, including Phragmites, purple loosestrife, narrowleaf cattail, and Japanese knotweed. The most difficult of those to eradicate by far is Japanese knotweed. The other challenge has been employment, and that is hiring the long-term or truly underemployed. And for the most part, we have also provided all of these people with the opportunity for soft and hard skill training to increase their future for employment. This is the phase 1 map. We worked in all of those different locations during 2013 and 2014. You can see basically we stayed right along the bank of the river. The area with the longest arrow is the former city of Lorain landfill. And then the big yellow spot, which has a purple arrow to indicate purple loosestrife, we worked on in 2014 for just purple loosestrife. We took out over 650 30-gallon garbage bags of purple loosestrife from that area in about 3 weeks.
And will it not grow back?
Once we take it, we actually have to dig that out by the root. So no, once we take it out and we get it before it's in seed, it doesn't come back. This year we didn't have to take out, I think we took out maybe 3 bags. So we were very effective with purple loosestrife our first season there. The next map is phases 2 and 3, which runs from 2015 through 2018. We were granted an extension by the EPA. You can see that the areas in blue were the areas that we worked in 2015. Along with the extension in time, we got an extension in area. So all of the little red dots are what we have worked on this year. Thus far, we are at 136 acres for a crew of the highest number we've had, including myself, has been 8. So we have worked our fingers to the bone and sprayed an awful lot of frag in these areas. These are some of the tools of the trade that we use when it comes to invasive species removal. Of course, we have to have PPE, which is our personal protective equipment. The county, through the grant, provides us with eye protection, chaps, boots, and gloves. The only thing that the employees need to are required to have are long sleeves and long pants. We use weed eaters with tri-blades, which are wicked little blades at the end of a modified weed eater. Backpack sprayers, large truck-mounted sprayers, one of which we built ourselves to suit our needs. Spade, forks, pruners, and envirostakers, which is what we use at the end of the season when we are done actually getting rid of stuff. We have to go in and replant. So the envirostaker we use to be able to put trees in, just saplings or live stakes as they're called, and to get through the crust of frozen ground, because we usually do that in the dead of winter, we developed what we have called an envirostaker. We use tarps, toolkits in the field for repairs, chippers, shredders, trucks, tractors, assorted attachments, and a sense of humor is absolutely mandatory. You cannot do this without laughing. Here are some scenes from different locations. We've got Shelley at the chipper shredder. You can see us putting water into a backpack sprayer. We've got one of the guys that's actually cutting frag, and then we have the hauling and loading. We have to do that by hand. And then we have Ricky, who is actually spraying from the tractor. These are the invasive species that we work to eradicate. The first 2 pictures in the upper left are frag. Then we have Japanese knotweed, narrow leaf cattail, and purple loosestrife. And the purple loosestrife is actually a really pretty plant. It can get up to 8 feet tall with those beautiful magenta blossoms on it, but it will also take over an entire field with relatively rapidly. The certificate training that we have offered in the past includes trained service person, which everyone must take if they are going to spray. That is provided through me. I am a licensed applicator, and as such I can provide them with their trained service person's letter. We have worked closely with multiple different agencies, including the Wellington Fire Department and the Elyria Fire Department, through Safety Risk Office for CPR and first aid. We've done OSHA training, and we have done mental health first aid, which has actually been probably one of the most valuable courses that myself and the crew leaders have taken. And that was offered to us through the Lorain County Mental Health Board. Other formal and informal training includes soft skills training through Ohio Means Jobs, basic computer skills through Ohio Means Jobs. We have had individuals who didn't even know how to turn a computer on. Resume writing and interviewing skills through Ohio Means Jobs. I have also offered to look over resumes just for general grammar. Bloodborne pathogens training, which again was offered through the Safety Risk Office through Lorain County General Health District. Basic small engine repair in the field. We do a lot of that in the field. Correct and safe operation of all equipment, correct methods for spraying, listening skills, which are huge, and that kind of gets pounded home. And then just as we work, natural environmental education for insect, plant, and animal identification. What the BRCCC means to many of these people includes learning how to use a piece of equipment, learning teamwork, which is much needed, learning the crazy stuff that Frag does, learning to be part of something bigger than yourself, part of a team, part of something that changes where you live. We've actually had a couple of people come back because that was the part that they liked the most, was becoming engaged in their community. And community involvement. As you can see, here are some of the unique pictures that we see out in the field. We've got orb spiders and raccoon prints, and we actually saw a flock of wild turkeys at CBCF yesterday. You name it, we've seen it. The goose, by the way, in the bottom, pretty much in the middle, that's Gus. He is actually tagged. He was raised by Grumpy and Rudy at the Lorain Wharf. And then he fled, and we've seen him a couple of times since then. So he is doing well. So we can report to Rudy, the dog, that Gus is doing well. By the way, Gus really likes dog food.
What is that picture of two to the
The two
left
deer?
of Gus?
To the left of Gus,
Yeah, two of them.
the eggs, those are turkey
No,
eggs.
no, next to that one. Two of them.
Oh, that's a praying mantis. He's actually upside down. So the tuchus is up. He's coming out of a cat. You see him now?
Yep. Okay.
And then I don't know if you could see the orb spider in the top left.
Yeah.
Yeah, we run into those a lot. They're pretty good size. They're about this big around. The picture does not do him justice. We also do quite a bit of public outreach, which is mandatory within the grant itself. We have done maintenance training for local street and road departments as well as private landscapers. We have done different 4-H clubs within the county, and I will say that the kids' questions have been very insightful. It's been kind of fun. I am frequently stopped as we are working by people who want to know what we're doing and why we're doing it, so that in itself has garnered us actually a couple of different HOAs. And then we have also been in Avon Lake on their local community access for HOAs, especially for their retention basins. That's become a real issue in Avon Lake. The BRCCC, however, is not for everyone. The job takes place in the outdoors, and as this summer will attest, it can be very, very hot, let alone humid, and it can be very, very cold. We've worked in -6 actual temperature. We encounter snakes, spiders, ticks, mosquitoes, and other creepy crawlers, and that freaks some people out. In fact, we've had very large men go screaming from the field for fear of snakes. It's a snake. They don't eat much. We also get filthy, rotten, dirty in the field. And we get wet. The bottom picture, if you can't tell, is actually one of the guys draining the water out of their boot. Wow. In the bottom right. Since June of 2013, we have had over 100 BRCCC employees work on over 100 acres. We're now up to 136. We have had 7 return for additional seasons, and we have had quite a few success stories. We've had 15 or so continuing education. We've had at least 25 get full-time employment, and we've been able to assist 7 with mental health issues to get them treatment and pointed in the right direction. The success stories are listed above. We've had some real heartbreakers. The most heartbreaking one is a gentleman whose initials are JM, worked for us. We got him treatment in a mental health facility, and he could no longer afford to buy his medication, and in June of this year, he committed suicide. Ripped my heart out. Other than that, all of our success stories have been amazing. They've worked and worked hard. It makes going to work worthwhile. frag is one thing, but to have an impact on a life is a whole different ball of wax, and that's why I'm still here, because that impact is just, it's amazing. And that's it. That's probably my favorite crew picture.
Yeah, I think that's really an important part. You know, we hear about so many people who, I know when I was a state representative, I used to get a lot of letters from people who had been in the corrections system or had had drug issues, and they kept saying, you know, geez, I'm just trying to find somebody who's going to give me an opportunity, and I, you know, just can't seem to find it. Nobody wants to take a chance on me, so I really appreciate you reaching out to those individuals to help them hopefully get back on track and get their lives back together.
Commissioner,
We've had some success.
the program is built around that concept.
Yeah.
One of the excuse me. One of the reasons we scored so high, this was an innovative way of approaching getting grant funds that we initially set about to collaborate with the Workforce Development Department to hire those that have challenges and barriers to working. Exactly. We have folks that have very, very colorful backgrounds that we're trying to encourage to continue to hope for gainful employment to support themselves. The success stories are great, as Lynn has indicated. And we're not always successful at that. In fact, some folks have gone back to jail. Recently. But we still continue to strive to do that. One of the things I want to talk about is the dollars that come back here. This is a federal program. It's federally funded. There's no local dollars involved. All the money's coming back here, returning vis-a-vis grants from federal government. I think we're in excess of $2 million now. I want to talk dollars. This was really a great presentation. Now I want to talk the dollars we're bringing back to our community. And just, Don, do you have he's kind of lurking back there, so maybe he can help us out.
Yeah, phase 1 was just shy of $1 million. Phase 2 was about $400,000. Phase 3 was $600,000. So we were just about $2 million on this facet of it, and then through Willow Creek was another $600,000.
Now
So
the Willow Creek is the stream restoration work, right?
correct, in Eaton Township, at Eaton Township Park, and then some improvements going on at Margaret Peak Reserve, also in Eaton Township. And the BRCCC, as Lynn was whispering in my ear, will actually be doing the planting, so we'll be able to continue their employment and provide them, again, with real jobs, real payroll, and all of these jobs for the first three years were really all located primarily in the city of Lorain. So the taxes that were being paid were not only helping the families, but they were going to the city of Lorain as well, who had been very cooperative in working with us. And then also the city of Elyria this year has been outstanding in working with the crew, or as Lynn says, phenomenal.
Keeping them engaged with the workforce development system has also been key with Mike Longo and his folks. First of all, Mike does the recruiting for you still?
He does, and Jolyn and Mario.
So, you know, we have a collaborative effort of folks. Once they work with us a long period of time and we continue them through on the continuum to workforce development, we can give them letters of recommendation for that they've showed up, they've kept their employment. Sometimes they're challenging to Lynn. Sometimes I get these calls. They're kind of weird sometimes with questions about what to do with some of these folks. But I believe that the government saw this as a way of hooking programming together to try to get a better outcome rather than just some people would say just pulling weeds, and rather than just giving some people money from workforce development, we paired it up with a work opportunity so that they can use that to get better employment down the road. I'm interested in the people that keep coming back. I wouldn't come back to this job.
I've had 2 that have continued for multiple years. Currently, I only have 1, and he is my site supervisor. So when I can't be there, he has his license now. He can actually work the crew and spray, because if I'm not there, they can't spray. So it frees me up a little bit. Not so much today, because we are back on the roadways today, which is frightening. If you've never worked on a roadside, you need to give those gentlemen kudos, because I have never been so frightened in my life.
It's pretty scary once you're out there. When you pass them in your car, it doesn't look like much, does it?
I'll tell you what, 57 is a very frightening place, and Mark and I, because I was afraid that after the first day we were out there. I was so afraid I would not let the crew on the roadway. I was that afraid. And the city of Elyria even provided us with an aero truck.
Well, that's nice. I'm glad that they did that.
They have stepped up. They've been phenomenal to work with.
Don, when does the program sunset, and what are we going to do?
Currently, it's 2018, and we are hoping to apply for some additional grants to keep this going, either identifying additional acreages that are necessary or additional invasive species, or perhaps maybe expand the program into something like the stream restoration projects.
Because we have 2 stream restoration projects now going on.
Correct. Willow and Clinton Avenue ditch.
Clinton Avenue, Elyria Township.
Correct.
And we'll apply in 17 for additional funds?
We will probably apply in 16. The way the award cycle goes, if we apply in 16, it's typically August. We get an award letter in February that doesn't really let us do anything, and so we lose a season so that we'd be ready to go the growing season of 18. And so we'd have a little bit of overlap.
Without sounding kind of smart, August of 16 is already passed.
Or I'm sorry, August of 17, so that
Well,
we
that's why I
pick
asked. We're
up
going
in
to apply in
19. I'm
17
sorry.
for 18 funding.
I think
Okay.
I lost a year yesterday.
Okay, it happens. That's fine with all you guys are doing up there. And we have enough funding to carry us through 18 without an additional grant. I know we used quite a bit of funding.
Well, actually, this grant has been extended to 2019.
Okay.
However,
You gotta go to the microphone, Lynn, he's gonna yell.
However, it's been extended until 2019, but only until September 30th. So 19 will be nothing but reporting and monitoring plots, which
Yeah,
will not
just
include
the
crew.
administrative arm of
Right.
the grant.
Correct.
Close out, and
The
we
closeout
don't
for
get any
the crew
additional.
will be at the end. It may actually run into March of 2019 by the time we get all the planting done, because that takes much longer than anything else. And the amount of areas we have to go is, 136 acres is a lot.
Okay, sounds great. It's just things people don't realize that we get involved with, and bringing money back and programming and helping people, and it's been a great undertaking.
For the folks in the audience, the Black River coloring book and crayons are back on the back on the back counter. So if anybody wants a couple, take them with you.
By the way, what happened to Ricky?
Ricky is currently, the last I heard, Ricky is currently working at a restaurant in Avon Lake. He is, if not married, soon to be married, and has a baby on the way.
For those that don't remember, Ricky was the gentleman who stole our car.
He was a wonderful worker.
It worked out.
He was a wonderful worker.
Ricky decided he was a CSP worker with us, learned our routines, and then stole the keys to our car. Took our vehicle, was coming and going from the admin building because he was visiting us with our own car. If you may recall, that he's the gentleman that I ran through the building and tackled in the building some years ago. Well, subsequent to that, they arrested him after I sat on him for a while, and that was not too pleasant. And he went to jail, and then he came back. And he came up, and he wanted to apologize and make amends. He was clean from his drug addiction. And we had him in the foyer there, and we turned him over to Lynn and Don and gave him a job for a while, put him in the program for a while, and
He was there almost 6 months,
then he moved on to other employment. I hope he's still doing well in his life.
last I heard.
That's good. That's encouraging.
He does credit you personally for whatever it is you said to him and he would not say.
We had
or
quite a
whatever it is you
conversation
said
while I
to
was
him.
sitting on him.
Yes,
So-
and he credits that to you. Wow. His turnaround.
And I weighed substantially less those years back, but still big guy.
He's a big kid, though.
He is a big kid.
Yeah.
So I hope he's still doing well if anybody reaches out to him. Addiction's a really dangerous and terrible thing, and he definitely had some issues. But sometimes jail helps that too, because he got clean when he was in jail.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Great work. I hope he's continuing to turn his life around. And Browns need some defensive help. I guess I'll have to take a look at your tackling skills here. So, but,
Okay. Next up is our EPA Brownfield Assessment Grant, a $600,000 grant that the county applied for on behalf of a coalition led by the county. That includes the cities of Lorain, Avon Lake, North Ridgeville, Village of Wellington, City of Oberlin, and that's right. And then we worked with Elyria Township in putting together the grant application as well. I have Reese Dutton here to give an update on where we're at on the grant, what we've accomplished, and what we have yet to do in the remaining year.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so in 2010, the U.S. General Accounting Office estimated that there are more than 400,000 brownfields throughout the nation. So what is a brownfield? Simply put, a brownfield is a site that has had previous development on it, and there's real or perceived environmental contamination. These properties could be abandoned gas stations, a vacant industrial facility, or could even be a commercial property such as a dry cleaner. There's many of those. One of the tools that we use to assess such properties is a phase one. This is the very first step of looking at a site. So it's the consultant, they will look at historical records. They will look at the previous land use and other data to determine if the site was adversely affected environmentally. And once they will have done their assessment, they will then identify any recognized environmental concerns, and that is at what point they will either recommend a phase two take place or state that there is no further investigation necessary. And if it is a phase two, there will be more site analysis. The consultant will actually go to the site, take samples of the air, the subslab vapor, soil, groundwater, and they will compare those records with what is the allowed standard, whether it's through the state of Ohio or a national standard. And that will further identify if there is contamination, where it is, and at that point, the consultant may recommend a remedial action plan take place, which is a plan to remediate the contamination where it may be. And one of the biggest things is why assess. So this is more an economic point of view, but there's a lot of lenders that require a phase one take place before they take a property as collateral. We're currently working on a project where that's the case. And this is preliminary pre-development work that has to be done before any kind of transfer of ownership can take place, any kind of redevelopment. You don't want to build on something that has that kind of liability, which this all then leads to the economic benefits. You're getting tax revenues that are now going to be generating from a previously non-generating property, ultimately leading to job creation, which is always good. And so the coalition was formed to leverage the past manufacturing legacy of the county, currently going through our manufacturing month, so that's very important. And we also wanted to leverage the current growth from Cuyahoga County. So the coalition, as Don mentioned, is 5 communities, and even though it is just the 5 coalition members, the assessment grant through the EPA is countywide, so that's all 34 governmental units. They are able to have the EPA grant take place in, if they so choose. Our project period is 3 years, began in 2014, September of 2014, and there's about another year left, ending in September of 2017, and we'll ultimately close it out about 3 months later in December of 2017. So there are more components to a assessment rather than just a phase 1 and phase 2. These may lead to a closure assessment. It may lead to asbestos abatement, and these are just, it's a little bit more to it than just on what you may think. There's a lot of other components to the grant, such as a health evaluation, the remedial planning and design, and also part of the grant was an inventory of potential brownfields throughout the county, which I will go into a little bit detail a little later on. So even though I've only been with the county, I feel that the coalition has made significant progress on our EPA as demonstrated by this slide. I think it's important to note that we've completed 10 phase 1s, and of those, 5 of them, or half, have led to a phase 2. And it's got a picture of one of the sites, the AT&T building in North Ridgeville, that is still currently being, have having been redeveloped. And this is just a map that I did of the assessments to date. Anywhere that there's a red star denotes a phase 1 or a phase 2. And you can see that North Ridgeville, they have a couple, Lorain's got a few, and even down in Oberlin, there's a couple there. So we're still working on quite a bit more, but those are just ones that we've done to date. Just one other thing I wanted to add. Of the 10 phase 1s, 7 of those and 4 of the 5 phase 2s were performed in a coalition community, so I think that was a pretty high percentage. So one of the things that we always like to have identified are what we call future or pipeline projects that are on the table waiting to be, whether it's the consultant that we're waiting to hear from or it's the community that we're waiting to hear from. These are projects that could very likely go forward. So there's been identified, there's about 7 that need to be assessed, and some of them are more immediate that need to be assessed. There's a picture of a gas station in Oberlin. After a rain, there was visible petroleum, so EPA actually came in, removed one of the tanks, but they didn't. There's a couple more, so we're gonna have to come in with our grant and do a little bit more cleanup after them, so that's one of them. So the financial tracking is also something that we monitor. The grant was $600,000, $150,000 was initially allocated for petroleum sites, and we've actually had conversations with the EPA that we are going to be increasing this amount of allocation and decreasing our amount of non-petroleum funding because we've come across more sites that require petroleum funding. There was also a $24,000 in-kind match from the Lorain County General Health District. And in terms of where we right now looking at the financing, currently we've drawn about $234,000 or 40% of the grant. And there are 5 active projects that have not fully closed yet. We're still drawing down. These total about $35,000. All the potential projects, being that they are petroleum sites and some of them have tanks, are relatively high in cost. We have estimates from our consultant, so the total of those pipeline projects is $307,000 or so dollars. So the sum of the draws, the sum of the projects that are still in drawdown, and the sum of the pipeline projects is $576,000, which is about 96%, which is very close to where we want to be with 1 year to go. So the brownfield inventory was in part of the county's grant application. We at the time did not have any kind of list of brownfields in the county, so it was part collaboration with the health district and fellow staff members of our community development department that actually went out and identified what sites were what we call potential brownfields. So our criteria and methodology was pretty simple. The site had to be either commercial or industrial use, and there had to be no current operations. So the information we collected was ownership, address, how many acres, and parcel numbers, which were then able to map as demonstrated on the map to the right. And this is all information that we've been able to use a free online resource through Kansas State University called the Brownfield Inventory Tool, or BIT. And this was actually, we didn't know about it. We found out of this tool by going to the annual National Brownfield Conference, which was paid for through the grant. And those are all the potential brownfields. There's many more within the county.
So those are ones we still need to get to? Is that what you're saying, or some of them are already in the mix?
There's about 10 of the ones that are part of that list, but the majority are ones that have yet to be assessed, which is very helpful if looking to apply for another grant.
Yeah, that's kind of the most important thing, first to identify where they're at.
Well,
Right, exactly. So yeah, before we had none, and now currently we have around 250.
250 possible sites, not that they necessarily need any type of remediation, though. We
That's
don't know
correct.
that.
Right.
Okay.
Sites for assessment.
Sites for it, but they don't necessarily have a problem.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so now that we're in our third and final year, we held our Brownfield Coalition update meeting to update the coalition members on the progress. That's just happened recently on September 28th. As I mentioned before, we will have less than $30,000 left in the grant, assuming everything goes according to plan with the pipeline projects. And at the coalition meeting, it was decided that we would apply for another round of assessment funding, which closes around mid-December. And to continue to work with coalition partners and the private lending community, we're still trying to look for more opportunities that will help demonstrate to the EPA we will be able to leverage this grant for additional funding. One of the other programs is the state's abandoned gas station program. We're able to use our assessment grant to get a VAP Phase 1, which is a requirement for applying for the gas station program. That's just an example. Another component of the future, we're looking at coordinating a public outreach event with the Lorain County General Health District, and that should be in the very near future, end of this year timeline. That's part of the grant requirements. And just any kind of remediation, even though it's not be able to be funded through the grant, we are able to pay for a plan for the consultant to identify how to clean it up. So that a lot of it is paid for through the grant. And I believe that is all.
Got a lot of work to do, don't we?
I want to thank you, Reese, for all the work that you're doing on this. I mean, this is really important, especially in a county that is a manufacturing county. We're a manufacturing state, and I know when I worked for the city of Elyria, we did a big cleanup at Tappan over near the central maintenance garage for the city. And even Governor Taft flew in on the state helicopter for that one, and it was quite a big deal. And times are very critical right now, because obviously when these buildings sit there and we haven't gone through the remediation process, they're of no help in trying to spur economic development in the future. So it's important to get them cleaned up for use. And also, I think if folks only knew, and I think even government struggles to find out how many fuel tanks are actually in the ground in this state. And, in the old days, if you had a fleet of trucks, you had your own gas tank, and if you did the oil changes, Lord knows where where the oil was dumped. So there's all types of things that have to be addressed that you just basically have to uncover it.
Right.
I think we've
EPA
all
didn't exist before the
right. Yeah, we've all heard the construction projects where all of a sudden, wow, we didn't know this tank was here. So I just want to thank you for what you're doing on that. I was going to ask if either you or Don or maybe even Jerry could just explain a little bit about. I know when I was in Columbus, I was very frustrated by how I felt like the state was not getting the money back to the communities for Clean Ohio and Brownfield, and very important programs that taxpayers have supported in the state, but then they started to move the money over to Jobs Ohio, and then it seemed like it was just sitting over there, and it unfortunately became political when those dollars were not political prior to that move.
The program has radically changed. It is much more, I'd say, difficult, and I don't think it's as useful as it is portrayed, as it's put together today. They do a concentration on loans rather than grants, and you're already at a disadvantage in time of having to clean up a site before you can redevelop it. And they are looking for commitment of a company and the job creation with an unknown end date for when they may actually be able to do something, which is one of the things that when the original Clean Ohio came out, slowed it down a bit, and it got evolved and it got much better in being able to work with companies and work on sites to be able to get them into it quicker. So it has been a bit of a struggle to access those funds. In the past, under the old program, both Lorain and Elyria were able to take advantage of it. There have been very few projects within even Northeast Ohio as a whole now.
They were hooking the Clean Ohio funds up, though, with job creation. I want to say in the early 2000s, they started shifting direction in that they wanted to have a job creation element on those funds. And you're right, it became challenging because you couldn't clean the site until you had somebody that wanted the site, which slowed things down completely.
Right.
I mean, I understand what they're hoping to do, but you've seen that model go over to ODOT and some of their funding too.
Correct.
And they're involved with the economic development aspect. You do the NOACA, Commissioner, and creating jobs is great, and things tagged to them usually will incentivize that, but we also have to be ready when the jobs get here. We're working on a site on Baumhart Road right now. Now, we don't have a job creation there, but you've been able to get some money for that site, right?
With Baumhart Road, we're actually using the assessment grant on the E&L transport for Baumhart. And we did the phase 1, and we are in the process now of getting ready to do what is called a closure assessment. There are 8 underground storage tanks, and as part of the grant, we will be removing those tanks and assessing the ground underneath to determine whether or not there has been contamination. We're hopeful that it won't be. And then fill it back in with clean fill, and hopefully we will have a clean site with a no further action letter from Ohio EPA. And that'll bring in an 18-plus acre site back into potential productive use, and there are a couple of uses there. There's also working with Jonick Dock. 2 parcels we've looked at that are looking to be used as collateral to build a warehouse and support a Ford. We've entered into an MOU with
we have the clawback
Mr.
with
Morag.
them. Is that moving forward?
It is. We just finished up the phase 2. It's in a draft format. We sent it to Mr. Morag to share with his bank and make sure that it is necessary.
I was the one that kind of slowed that down a bit because I wanted a clawback on the funds if the development didn't go forward. I think it's essential that we partner with folks that want to clean land and then do something, but I also don't want to work with them and clean the land and then have them sell it speculatively without creating any jobs there.
So, and we've had some brief conversations as well as just to see what different things we might be able to do, not necessarily for speculation, but getting additional dollars and invested into a property in anticipation of getting it cleaned up and ready. Because some of these buildings or properties, after we look at it, even if they are clean, they do need an investment of dollars before actually any job creation could go in.
The property on Baumhart Road is interesting. How long has it sat empty before?
Since really Ford closed, so 2006.
So the property was sitting vacant. It was in a depleted condition years ago. Even before then, it was a rundown trucking. It was a transport facility.
Right, E&L Transport, and they operated. That was one of their hub locations, and they were one of the haulers for the Econoline back and forth between Lorain and Avon.
So the site became abandoned. There was several thousands of dollars in back taxes due on the property. Nobody was willing to step in and do anything with the property, so we've taken it off the tax rolls vis-a-vis the land bank, and we moved it over to the port for redevelopment, and we're remediating the property right now. We have some possible uses for it, but also those uses can shift should we have somebody come along in the process that wants to develop and create opportunity out there with this property. But nobody's going to take it with the amount of work that it needed. It was going to sit as an abandoned piece of land.
Right.
Now, I think the tanks were empty or close to empty, right?
That's our understanding, but
Hopefully because it didn't leak out.
Right, exactly. A lot of times you'll find that people, when they close down and they have underground tanks, there's still liquids in the tank, and they just move on, and the liquid sits there.
Reese was telling me that he recalls there being 3 tanks that were used oil tanks. Those are most likely to have at least a residue, if not some actual volume there. The diesel tanks were probably drained because
They're probably pumped out because they
value.
can sell that pretty quick. But
Yes.
they were using fuel oil out there, or is it
No,
just
this
waste
is
oil?
waste oil.
Waste oil from the trucks.
So
Yeah, that's a little harder because you have to really pay somebody to come get that. Even though they can burn it and recycle it, they usually want you to charge you to haul it off site. So
correct. And we're looking at about, what was the estimate? We haven't finalized the contract yet, but it came in at $180,000 for this closure assessment.
And again,
That'd
that's
be-
federal dollars coming back to help
Correct.
remediate these properties in Lorain County. We keep looking for them. You're working on a gas station right now too, right?
We are working on well, we're looking at a couple of them, but there's one that Speedway actually owns, part of the marathon, and looking at the abandoned gas station and this program to be able to do assessments, we identified one, and when we contacted Speedway, we learned that they really, I'd say they kind of lost track of the property, quite
That's the one
honestly.
on 113 and 57?
58.
58,
yes.
I'm sorry, 58.
But yes, that was the one, and they didn't have any future plans for it, but at the same time, they didn't have, they weren't marketing it or doing anything with it. It kind of got lost, so we've been in conversations with them to determine if we can kind of move them along, and that would be a potential candidate for the abandoned gas station if we can get some redevelopment from the company or for them
Yeah,
to
it's sitting.
transfer it.
It's a white building sitting boarded up. It used to be a marathon station. They got it in part of a consolidation process, and it's really an eyesore sitting there on the corner before you turn to go down into Amherst Village, South Amherst Village. And then across the street there was an old BP station that we talked about that's actually come down, you said, right?
Yeah, and then actually then at the other corner, the northeast corner, the bricklayers, and actually there's an invitation to them. They're building a brand new training facility at that corner
Now that's
for
on
the Ohio
is that
Kentucky
on the
region.
northeast corner?
Northeast corner.
That's that old building that's been 300 things.
Yeah. Currently, it's their training center and offices, and then once they get the training center, they are going to move the apprentices into the new building, and then they're going to demo the old building and build their administrative offices.
Getting rid of some of these older gas stations that are all boarded up, and they're on strategic corners that are gateways to the community, and they look terrible. So we're going to be pressing the issue with these companies. We looked at the one on
511 and
20.
Thank you.
Route 20. It used to be a convenience store, and it became abandoned. But we've come to determine that while it's abandoned and it looks like a bombed out building out there, they're still using the fuel tanks.
Right. They just they just completed an action where no further action is necessary, and that was awarded like August 18th of this year.
So while the building isn't in use and it looks terrible, the tanks are still. I'm assuming they're being used for agricultural out there because there's a lot of farmland out there, so they may just be using the storage tanks for the agricultural out there. We was hoping to get funds on that site to be able to eliminate blight there and work with the redevelopment, but it hasn't come about. So those are the things that we do that are invisible to the public. We continue to try to bring public dollars back here to deal with some of these annoyances and clean up some of these sites, and we'll hopefully have more success in the future.
I know it's popular for some to bash government, but this is one of the important roles that we play that folks really don't know much about or pay much attention to it. But it's critical to having healthy communities and taking facilities that were once very vibrant to clean them up so we can turn them around and make them productive again.
And then we had leveraged this grant for an application to get an area-wide planning grant under the Brownfield, where we're working with the city of Lorain on their waterfront. And we hope to hear an announcement on that in December and have funds be available in January or February of 2017.
Now we'll lead on that grant, right?
Correct.
Right. So that's working in Lorain.
We are using this grant to access as many different redevelopment potential. This is really kind of the skeleton of economic development, the bones that we can build off of. So it's very important work. Unfortunately, a lot of it doesn't get seen until another couple of layers are completed. So,
Commissioners, I can't begin to tell you my appreciation of Don putting this coalition together and holding it together. Quite frankly, it was a first-time undertaking as a collaborative with all the communities working together. I think that's why we were successful at getting the funds. As you know, the state and usually with the federal government, they like collaboration. They like communities working together, sharing resources, bringing local resources together to multiply the effect of any changes. And Don was the one that assembled this group. He has Reese was working with him and doing a great job. But without that leadership, we get nothing. So I just want to point out that this was, Don came to me with this. I wish I could tell you I thought it up, but Don did. And he said, what do you think? You think we can do this? And I said, wow, that's some mix of people. But they pulled it off, so congratulations.
Nice Thank
job.
you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Don.
Thank
That's
you.
an important role of county government. I think we should always be facilitators and try to build collaborative efforts throughout the county. So thank you for doing that.
And thank you, Reese, and thank you, Jerry,
Yeah.
over there, too. So
Thank you.
Got a good team.
And I just want to point out for those watching this meeting or attending this meeting that our colleague Ted Kalo is in Boston for a national transportation conference that's taking place there as part of his duties and involvement with the Northeast Ohio Area-Wide Coordinating Agency.
And I
And
think this is the third meeting he's missed since we've been commissioners, since 2005. And the only
says
ones that
that,
he's
but-
missed, he's away on business. So
He says that, but it's been 12 years. I don't know if
maybe my mind is not remembering well, but I
I know.
neither one of us,
Yeah.
either sickness in a hospital or away on business. We don't miss these meetings. We take them very serious.
Commissioners very seldom miss meetings, and Ted has had an extraordinary record. I know two of them. The other two he missed, we were on bond rating presentations that we had to go actually visit the rating agencies to do. Personally, I think he should take a few weeks off and relax.
Yeah, I tried to advise him, even though he's very proud of, as we all are, of our Cleveland Indians. It may not be the wisest thing to be wearing Indians gear in the streets of Boston while he's up there. Those folks take their baseball pretty seriously. So.
Well, I actually thought they was trying to get this trip in case they were playing over in Boston to be there.
Madam Clerk,
Under Resolutions, number 1, investments.
so move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Appropriations.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Transfers.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Advances and repayments.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Requisitions.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Travel.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Bills.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Administrator Cortez.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just one moment. I was so busy running my chops this morning, I
Oh,
didn't look
no.
at my sheet.
Always burning the midnight oil. So.
Oh, my goodness. I do have a number of potential hires at Job and Family Services I'd like to discuss with the board. Also, an update on ongoing negotiations. As you know, we were the lead contract with United Steelworkers of America. We've completed our contract. Successor contracts will fall into place with hopefully with the recorder, the auditor, the treasurer, and the clerk of courts. They're usually very similar, but I just want to have a brief conversation with you on those. Also, the potential sale and purchase of real estate. Actually, the potential sale of real estate more than the purchase, and pending litigation. All of those topics allowable under the Sunshine Act for an executive session discussion. So I'd ask at the conclusion of a regular board meeting, we go into executive session, we talk about those items I've outlined. Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Approve and waive the reading of the minutes of October 5th.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Receive and journalize the municipal corporation annexation petition of approximately 0.6563 acres from Mean Township to the Village of Grafton. Mayor David Vincenzo, agent, and to be placed on the October 26, 2016 agenda for decision.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
So we cleared up, I guess, the technicality that was in there, and so this is basically...
I'm assuming
we're-
so. It's third
Right.
time's the charm. So
Right, exactly.
we'll see.
Okay, so we're just receiving and accepting today, and then an actual decision will come, as you stated here, in 27 days.
Yep.
Are we aware of any conversation that's happened between the jurisdictions? I know we had some conversation here.
Yeah.
I don't really know if anything happened after we left here, so I want to check on that. I'll put it on my docket. Hopefully we can find some mutually agreeable way of them not finding themselves in conflict with this.
Yeah. We want everybody working together. That's important.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Accept the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorize necessary tax levies and certify them in the county auditor.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Amendment Resolution 16603 adopted September 21st, 2016, awarding contract to NNN Construction Company, Inc., Wakeman, in the amount of $203,810.27 for Phase 1 Site Development Lorain County Courthouse Renovation Project. Said amendment is to reflect the account is courthouse renovation construction.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, we have the page one story in the paper today about the work getting underway with the courthouse. I just want to thank you, Jim, County Administrator, and also Karen Davis, because I know there's a lot of logistics involved here. I also want to thank Judge Betleski, the Administrator, Mr. Luby, for working with us so we could start moving forward on this. And, there's going to be some hiccups in the road. And when you're moving people around, moving offices around and working through the whole process, it's, requires a lot of cooperation. So we're trying to do the best that we can. Everybody, I think, is willing to work together to get this done and improve the downtown area and make an investment, a viable, reasonable investment for a viable use of our courthouse.
Well, let me help you with a little update. We are moved. We're over on Broad Street now. In order to provide a seamless service to the community, we began to move over the weekend. Rather than paying up charges on working with the movers on the weekend, we brought them in on Columbus Day, which is a holiday for government workers, but not for the private sector. So we chose to work on our people on Monday with the movers to get everything done. It was a very long day. I was here in the evening, and Miss Davis and company were leaving around 7 o'clock, and they started very early in the day. Commissioner Kokoski, you were over there. You viewed the temporary location, which, in my opinion, is, even without we didn't put a lot of huge touches on it, but it still looks fantastic.
It looks amazing, and I would be surprised if they didn't want to stay there because it's
that
nice.
And
I looked this morning as I went by, and that parking lot is full. So that means there's a lot less parking, or more parking that will be available over by the courthouse. So,
Well, it's fenced off, Commissioner.
oh, you won't be able to use any of the parking
No.
over there?
No, and the work on Court Street, I'm going to give you a bit of an update here.
Okay.
But there was some indications that if they had known the space would look that good, we may have had less resistance on using the building. And quite frankly, we didn't put a huge amount of money into that because it was temporary space, and even that is fantastic for them, and they're pretty happy. I think the strained relationship didn't allow people to have a future vision of what could be. They were looking at what is, and that kind of pigeonholes your thinking around negativity. But that said, the courthouse still needed to be renovated. It's singly one of the most significant buildings in the county. As soon as we clear some hurdles with design review in Elyria, I want to make a presentation about what we're going to do with the building, what it's going to look like, some renderings. When we're done, the building will be the single most significant structure in downtown Elyria from a perspective of view. We're going to return it to the state that we best can on the outside, and we're going to enhance the architectural significance of the building with uplighting and new repaired sandstone work and landscaping, and give it a facelift that's going to last for a long period of time. There's probably going to be a little negativity on that. As you know, there's going to be some removal of some trees, significant removal of trees around the building. We need to dry that building out. We need to get the shade off the building. We need to reposition the landscaping around so it drains better away from the building. But while doing that, we'll be able to enhance the things you don't see anymore, the things that are drowned out when the canopy of the trees is in full bloom between the spring and late fall. And of course, the front of the building needs to be repaired and brought back to historical significance because it's used a lot, and I think it'll be used even more. It's going to be a gateway into Elyria Park there. It's going to enhance the whole square when we're done, and it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful view for people. And that's all going to be completed hopefully in 18 months to 24 months, depending on what we find once we're starting the demo work inside the courthouse. I'm hopeful that we can give a presentation within the next 2 or 3 weeks. But we have a few things at design review. I don't want to show you something here that doesn't pass design review in Elyria. Those are minor issues, but yet we shouldn't mislead people until final approval is there.
And I think, as you pointed out, the importance of, this building is of sandstone. So it's going to hold the moisture. It doesn't dry properly, and that's the big reason for the need for the removal of the trees. And it's true, when the trees are in full bloom, sometimes it's pretty hard to even see that building. But primarily, the reason that these trees are having to be removed is so that it dries properly. And it needs as much, quite frankly, sunlight as it can get.
And there's no drainage tile around that building. I don't know why, and the renovations, when the last most significant renovation occurred sometime in the 40s, I believe, and we did some renovation in the 90s to add some court space in the lower level, but that wasn't a building really renovation, it was just some changes inside. But the footers need to be drained better so that any water running down the building and with the storm sewers there, and the downspouts are tied into the storm sewers, but the groundwater itself needs to be channeled away with tiling. So we're going to be digging around the building itself, adding some drain tile. That'll take out a lot of moisture that's wicking through the sandstone into the building right now. The stone can handle it. It's the interior, the things that we put inside that can't take that. The sandstone is fine being wet. It just doesn't make for a very pleasant environment inside the building. So a lot of those things are going to be done to preserve this building for 50 more years. I would suggest the only thing that's going to be needed in this building in the next 25 to 30 years after this renovation may be a roof. It has a steel roof on it. They're good for about 50 years. It has plenty of service life left in it. There's no sense doing anything with it right now, but it'll eventually need to be replaced. But everything else will be taken care of for at least 25 to 30 years, and we'll preserve this building long after we're gone.
Yeah. Well, I just want to, like I said, thank you again for all the work you've been doing on it. I know I was talking to Karen Davis yesterday, and it was a good 12-plus hour day. But I thought that was just very smart planning to do it on Columbus Day when everybody was out of the facilities and you could move everything around. And the investment, I think it's important for the public to know. We make that investment in that building so that we can temporarily house them there. Otherwise, we would have been paying rent somewhere.
Well, we would have, and we're going to get an ROI on the renovations on the Broadway building simply because we don't have to. Excuse me?
Broad Street building.
I'm sorry, Broad Street. Thank you. On the Broad Street building, simply because we don't have to rent 15,000 square feet and a parking lot for 2 years while we make do. The other good thing is that we would have had a rent space before and after we were in it for at least 30 to 60 days as we transitioned. While we moved everybody on Monday, we've been in there getting the space ready and primed and making the initial connections. People don't realize you got to get your security up, you got to get your internet up, you got to get all your cabling in place. So even if you rent a place, you got to come in and do all those things, and you don't get to use the space for free while you're putting all that in. So we probably would have needed anywhere from a 2 to 2.5 year lease on 15,000 square feet of improved office space in one location, which is challenging to find to begin with. So for the cost of doing all that, we get to improve our building, and then those improvements will last 20 years.
And could we also give credit to our maintenance department we did a lot of this improvements in-house.
We did.
Painting and, a lot of taking down and putting up of walls and things like that.
This has been a pretty Herculean task.
Yeah.
I can't give Karen Davis enough credit for her coordination and continuation on this. The folks in the maintenance department have been over there, but let's not just say maintenance. The IT department's been over there. Our own folks, Ernie Smith has been working on this project with Karen. We've had our security people. We had to move all the security systems out of the courthouse, move them all over to Broad Street. The sheriff's department had to make for the coordination of security in and out of the building. this was really a project on multiple levels with multiple departments and folks. And I will say the adult probation people were very workable in making the switch. Things had to work well, and they did. And it does because of leadership and people's desire to get along and make a successful outcome. So kudos to everybody. And let's hope that the renovation of the courthouse goes as well as this move.
Yeah, let's hope.
Because there's a lot ahead.
Yeah.
And the other place with parking, as I said I would give you the update, Court Street work is going to start with. We're also coordinating with the City of Elyria on improvements on Court Street and on 3rd Street to follow. For those that don't know, 3rd Street, they're taking the turning lane out, so we're pushing the grounds out, pushing the sidewalks out as part of this project, because not only is the courthouse being renovated, and there is a extension to the back of the courthouse that's going to be tastefully and architecturally blended into the building, because the need for ADA, the most important piece, was really hard to accommodate. This is a major renovation, so the building had to be upgraded for new fire codes, ADA codes, etc. If it had just been building some space inside the building, it's not significant enough to raise to a level of having to do those things. But with this renovation, we now have to come into standards with current requirements and regulations. We're also wrapping the grounds 360. There's going to be new sidewalk, new pavements. There's going to be a promenade through the back. There's going to be respect for the monuments up front. Most people don't know that there's a WW1 monument located on the southwest side of the courthouse. It's overgrown. We have the Workers' Memorial on the the northeast side. And so all of that's going to be given a proper amount of respect and consideration. The sidewalk in the front will be done. The sidewalks down each side will be redone. The 3rd Street will get a facelift going down the sidewalk on the back of the grounds. It'll look similar. The streetscape will be the same along the Justice Center parking lots, all the way down to the admin building. We'll be changing the lights along the admin building out here and the lights along the outside of the Justice Center, so the city streetscape of Elyria is going to be taking care of those, putting them on our pedestals. The sidewalks will match, the widths will match. It'll be a really, really beautiful approach down 3rd Street and clean up a lot of problems there, especially with the turning lane out of there. It'll be less dangerous and you'll have a better flow of traffic. But that necessitated moving further out with the grounds, and we're working with Elyria on that now. They're going to back bill us for some work on Court Street that they're doing on our behalf, and likewise we'll be doing with the sidewalks with that. It's, again, another big cooperative effort.
We're the downtown's biggest neighbor, so so it's good to see the investment we're making. I'm glad to hear that we're working in partnership with the City of Elyria. I know the City of Elyria is strongly committed to improving the downtown. I know I was at the recent Main Street meeting. I know that they're always committed to improving downtown Elyria. They're excited about the project, and the only complications may be that some plans now and in the future will have to be changed a little bit with Apple Festival, and Main Street's already making the plans to have the Pops concert actually play on the elevated platform there in the park near the fountain.
I hope to bring them back. Right. Because the front's going to be redone, and also it's going to be a lot nicer because we're adding electrical service to key locations on the ground. Right now we have to run big extension cords into the building, and so that all of that's going to be taken into consideration so that we can provide a better service. And there's nothing better than the Pops on the front steps of the courthouse, and maybe they'll come and visit us for the new ribbon cutting ceremony that we're going to have when the building's up. That would be really great. At the very least, maybe the Elyria High School Band, which is a great band, can come and play there.
One of the best bands in the land.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under Community Development, rescind a part of Resolution 16563 adopted September 7, 2016 as number 1 in modern roofing 7 Hills for Pam Grega at 35369 West Road, Graft, in the amount of $4,838. Modern Roofing withdrew their bids, so we're going to award contract to ABC Restoration LLC Akron in the amount of $5,280, which was the next responsive bid complying with specification, and includes contingency for any unforeseen change orders to be paid from the CHIP Program Year 14 Home Repair Account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Job and Family Amendment Resolution 16254 adopted April 27, 2016, authorizing an interagency agreement with Lorain County Workforce Development Agency for the TANF Summer Youth Employment Program. Said amendment is to reflect extending contract to September 30, 2016 from August 31st to allow invoicing of costs for September.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under Domestic Relations, authorized execution of Amendment Number 2 to sublease with respect to Lorain County Detention Home. Amendments are to reflect $52,160 state funding with local match of $34,775 in capital improvement projects to address the safety and security issues with HVAC system replacement, window replacement, roofing, and renovating youth sleeping rooms, restrooms at existing facility.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Commissioner Kokoski, I was not able to get your question answered yesterday. I just fell so far behind. By the time I looked up, it was after 5 o'clock, and
everybody's gone.
everybody was gone. So I will get that answered. But either way, I think
still have to go forward with
we
it,
still have to
but-
go forward with. Commissioner Kokoski's question was the funds that we've expended under our capital improvements grant, and some of that has gone to the DH. Can we use that as match money because we've done existing capital improvements? Makes sense to me, so probably no, because it makes sense, but I will ask. But either way, this is really good. I think we need to squeeze this into our funding. I will tell you, it's getting very, very tight with what's remaining on the grant. As an aside, because I do not get an opportunity enough to say these things, we're running out of money. I had a rating call yesterday to renew our notes in anticipation of doing permanent financing next year. The jail needs a ton of work. They need some new HVAC systems out there. We've used part of that funding to repair shallow walls that were caving in and et cetera, but there's still a ton of work that needs doing at the jail. Let me state this way, because I know we have a revenue enhancement on the November ballot for a 0.25% sales tax. It's never going to stop. People that have homes understand that. There's always maintenance concerns. Think about hundreds of thousands of square feet on the roof that need to be maintained all the time, and some of those are high security spaces, and some of them are very old, which amplifies the cost exponentially. This is not something that's going to go away. It's only going to continue. We'll fix those HVACs, and we'll need some someplace else. Let me also point out that the Justice Center now is 13 years old. Now, it doesn't sound very old, but the service life on a lot of equipment starts to have problems at between 16 and 20 years. You got to start thinking about what you're going to do with that equipment. Especially the biggest culprit is your HVAC systems and your alarm systems and so forth. So this is going to be a battle that's going to be fought to maintain the resources that the taxpayers already paid for well into the future. So we're going to have more conversation on this because it's simply not responsible not to do this kind of work.
Absolutely. Well, you can check on that at a later time.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under the Recorder, authorize Lorain County Auditor to continue the special fund ORC Section 317.321 for the fees imposed by Lorain County Recorder for the purpose of supplementing equipment needs of the county recorder effective January 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2017 in the amount of $4 per recorded document.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Sheriff, approve and enter into contract with New Russia Township for the additional police protection effective retroactive to January 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2019.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Cortez.
It's nice to have a landfill in your community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It certainly helps a lot.
Well, and thank you for Russia Township providing for those
Absolutely.
services. They are a little bit more prosperous than a lot of the townships, I think, that would wish to do the same thing. They get a lot of revenue from the landfill, and they've seen fit to amplify their services, and it's much appreciated because we're very limited in what we are capable of doing out in the townships with the deputies and the road patrols. I have no additional comments. I want to thank you.
Mr. Ennis.
I do have a couple matters of pending litigation that I need to discuss with the commissioners in executive session.
I have to back up once before Don's getting twitchy over there. I forgot something. I'm going to pass this to the clerk. Actually, I need a resolution this morning. Sorry, Don.
That's okay.
I pulled this off the agenda. These are CHIP funding opportunities for residents that I actually took off the agenda because I wasn't satisfied that we had enough bids. We had a lot of invitations to bid go out. We didn't receive a lot of bids. I think there was 2 or 3 of them that only had one.
Yeah, 3 of the 4 that went out, we only got 1 back.
A little bit of history here, and Commissioner Lundy, you hit on something with the Clean Ohio funds where things become very political. Several years back, we required prevailing wage in our CHIP funds locally. The state didn't appreciate that at the time. We were trying to, make sure that we amplified the opportunities locally for our folks here. We got into quite a dust-up with the state over this. Commissioner Kalo and I visited down in Columbus, and we went hat in hand to try to convince them of the merit of this. And of course, we got beat resoundingly. And then because they said it was eliminating competition in getting bids. We were only getting 1 and 2 bids for most jobs at a time, but we were sending out lots of invitations. We were contacting lots of groups. They swore it was because of the prevailing wage, and we had to get rid of the prevailing wage because we were awarding without enough competitive opportunities. So while we were down there, the conversations didn't go well. We came back. We held on to our procedures because we thought it was best interest of the community. They subsequently penalized us by stripping us of the next year's CHIP grant opportunity, wherein regardless of what we thought, we removed those requirements from the CHIP grant because we just could not allow the community to get no money. We did fight with them over this. We didn't prevail, so we complied. And I'm here to tell you that was a couple of years ago, and we're still only getting 1 and 2 bids. It had nothing to do with the prevailing wage. It had everything to do with the politics of the situation with the administration. I'm not naming names or administrations, but I'm very, very cautious of these bids. So we did have it sent to the state today, and I'd like to tell you what they said, which is completely contrary to what they said a few years ago. It says, per the Office of Community Development Housing Handbook, the county should make a good faith effort to solicit as many qualified contractors as possible and attempt to receive at least 3 bids for each rehabilitation project. If only 1 bid is received, the county may accept it if it has been determined that the solicitation was adequate, the bid is reasonable, and the bid is not more than 10% over the staff cost estimate. If you maintain documentation, the county continues to take appropriate action to increase the number of bidders. OCD monitors will not give a negative performance rating for the receipt and acceptance of a single bid. Now, that is language we tried to bring to them several years ago when they stripped us of a grant that was in $600,000 plus that year, I think?
Yes.
I just want to tell you that that's the politics of the issues. Commissioner, you raised that, Commissioner Lundy. This is really, I'm glad we got this. I'm glad we're going to be able to award this money. But I would have been more appreciative if this was a stance back then before they took $600,000 plus out of our community. I said I had nothing else to say. I'll close with that. I'm sorry I forgot about this.
Yeah, and I can't stress enough how we've tried to reach out to contractors throughout the county. I know, I was in one of the forums with the Building Industry Association trying to inform everybody, and I mean, I don't know if we could push a little harder on the messaging that, hey, we'll basically sit down with you and fill out the paperwork. Come on in, we'll sit down with you for a couple hours and fill out the paperwork, whatever will take place, because I think in most cases businesses stay away from any interaction with government because they're concerned that there's too much paperwork involved.
Well, there is paperwork involved, and of course there's inspections involved, and so as for the public, just so they know, we just don't write a check, give somebody $22,000 and say have a nice life.
No, they got to finish it.
We have people that go out, they inspect, they make estimates on the job. After the job's complete, they come back, they inspect the work before payments are released. So it's a little harder on the contractors, but it's work, and it's money that's coming from outside our community back into our community.
Yeah, and as I've told the contractors that it may take a little longer to get paid because, government's got to process everything. We need to check, make sure all the work's done appropriately. but you do get paid.
Yes.
And that's the key part. That doesn't always happen in the private sector. But I just want to point out that I know and I've seen firsthand the strong effort that the county has made to try to reach out. And we always talk about the importance of when government does invest money or spend money, as people say, we try to spend it locally as much as possible. But sadly, and a lot of these things that we end up approving end up being, contractors outside of the county, and it's frustrating because we're trying to make sure that we're doing all we can to at least give local businesses the opportunity to compete for these dollars.
Correct. In fact, last week, Mr. Cordes made sure that the county was represented at a government purchasing fair that the city of Elyria put on. Casey Saunders represented us, and he was actually able to at least reach out and have conversations with 2 separate residential construction contractors to try and recruit them in the program. We are hopeful that they will take advantage of the opportunity, and we are willing to sit down with them. They did have a conversation with KC. So as you are aware, we continue to reach out, and any forum we are always trying to recruit additional people to get onto our list, and not only to get on the list so that we can show that we're sending out, but really to send us in bids so that we are getting the best possible price for the program. And also then ideally it would be wonderful if they were always local and in county.
Yeah, part of the problem is a homeowner, when they're doing their own work, will normally not call more than 1 or 2 folks to come out. If they think they're getting a reasonable price, or they know somebody that said it was a good contractor. A lot of these people realize that we're sending this out to 20 and 30 vendors. They have to expend time. They have to come to an on-site. They have to put in the bid. They have to spec the work.
For the larger ones, we actually have to schedule a walkthrough so everyone's on the same. For the smaller ones, it's a little bit easier, like the home repairs above. We don't require a walkthrough. They can schedule
That's
their
the water
time.
heater.
Yeah,
Right.
They're a little more simple and standard than full home repairs that we do as well.
You got 30 seconds to explain CHIP.
Okay, CHIP is a housing program where we assist homeowners to be able to stay in their home. Through Block Grant is the home repair program. We do 1-2 repairs, $5,000, $8,000, or a septic system up to $16,000. Using home funds, we do $35,000 repair. When we leave that house, the entire house has to be up to standard code and the residential rehab standards of the state of Ohio. It needs to meet both. And they are grants, except for on the home side, the larger one, it takes a period of 5 years to fall off, 20% a year.
And that's a clawback anytime within the 5 years. So if they sell, even if, unfortunately, some folks have become deceased, the estate's still responsible for the clawback on the funds.
And it comes off the sale of the home, so it's not a hardship really. And then those funds are reinvested right back into the program, so they continue to assist other people.
Although you and I have to look at this reverse home mortgage thing that just came up. Somebody did a reverse home loan on the property. And we have a lien against that property.
We do from some time ago,
Right.
09 or something. So there's a
So there's some
little
issues
bit.
with that, but we got to make sure our position stays, because there was equity in the home, but they drew the equity out of the home. So we're looking at every time you think you got everything buttoned up,
Somebody finds a way to.
they find a Trumpism. No, I meant a loophole to thread the needle with and get past us. So we'll work on that one.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
So we're going to award various contracts for homeowners to receive grant assistance from CHIP Program Year 14 Home Repair Activity. Premier Sewer and Drain, North Ridgeville, in the amount of $4,125 for Mary Kenny at 218 Beechwood Avenue, Avon Lake, for separation of storm sanitary lateral. George's Roofing, Inc. in Larry in the amount of $10,926 for Mary Hepner at 825 Alameda Avenue, Sheffield Lake, for roof replacement. 3 Green Home Solutions, Cleveland, in the amount of $4,372 for Barbara Turney at 33803 Electric Boulevard, E18, Avon Lake, for furnace air conditioning repair. And then also to Green Home Solutions, Cleveland, in the amount of $5,967 for Gail Parsons at 117 Beachdale, Avon Lake for roof over bathroom, replace plumbing, vent stack, replacement of shower, faucet, and toilet.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask, I don't know if it's part of our policy or procedure, do we ever send letters to the councils and the community leaders to let them know that these dollars are coming back into their community? Because, you know, it's another way of educating people about another role that we play.
The CHIP program is actually another little coalition where we are working directly with, in this case, Sheffield Lake and the City of Oberlin. And then we send out applications through the Township Association as well as to all of the administrations that are whose residents are eligible, so we do let them know. And then, as you're aware, between Facebook and BIA and street corners, we're out there letting people know. We also advertise in the newspaper, and on occasion we've even done an ad on the various county resources as well.
I just think it might be a good thing to do to, you know, send a letter to the council of North Ridgeville saying, hey, these are some investments that have been made in your community, Council of Avon Lake, whatever it may be, just so they're aware of things that are taking place, because I think too often there's a disconnect and people don't understand exactly the role that we play.
I understand. I was talking about the availability of funds. You're talking about a report back.
Yeah, report back, exactly. Yeah, no, not the availability. Yeah, report back.
We can do that.
Too much birthday cake yesterday.
We do report that out in our annual community development report, but we don't actually
Notify them.
notify the community. So I think that's a great idea. We'll do a little snippet into the community. And thanks for bringing it up, Don. I should have asked you that question to get the information out there. We do not operate in every community in Lorain County. We only operate in those areas that don't have their own program. Elyria and Lorain.
And then Vermillion, which is with Erie County on the CHIP program.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Don.
Would you like to make a motion?
I would so move.
I'll second.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Okay. Commissioners report.
Okay. I know we've had a long meeting, but I had a really busy week that I need to report on. Last Wednesday evening, Sherry Glass had an event at Lorain County Community College. It was a masquerade ball. It's really a class act. She is a class act, so it's a very nice event. Thursday, I had opportunity to attend a candidates night in Wellington, and it's always fun. The same guy that does our breakfast there did the emceeing, and he's very hilarious, so he made us all laugh. Friday, I did the opening remarks at Parker Hannafin in Elyria to kick off Manufacturing Month.
You want to tell your joke?
No, I don't want to. It's been too long. If it was a short meeting, I would have told him.
Her timing was great.
It's really
the whole
good.
room was laughing.
Yeah. We also provided them with a proclamation from the Board of Commissioners. I was not able to attend the tour because if you had high heels on, it was prohibited because of safety reasons, so I might have to go back one of these days to take the tour there. From there, I went over to the Transportation Center where they were having a Children and Family First was having a poverty simulation, and it was really an interesting event. I ended up being a 9-year-old boy named Chad, and our teacher pulled a gun on us at the end. It was really a cool thing. I'm glad I had an opportunity to do that. It was kind of cool. Saturday, Commissioner Lundy and I walked in the Avon Lake Homecoming Parade. It was a little bit chilly, but it was sunny and a very nice day. Really a lot of cool dogs in this parade that I have.
You hit anybody with candy again?
No, we didn't pass out candy. We kind of disappointed all the children. But when we went to the end and they said our names, they say Kokoski in 2 syllables like Teresa does. Says Kokoski very fast, and it sounds like Koski. So
Cocky?
Koski, not cocky. It's got Koski. Oh, let's see what else. That evening I attended the Deputy Steak Fry at Amherst Eagles, and it was probably one of the funnest events that I've had all year. Dancing, the food was good, the people were great. I actually met a lady there who's going to be doing a presentation here next week talking about Operation Lifesaver. So I'm not going to tell you what it's about, but it's really good thing. Let's see. Sunday was my daughter Tara's birthday, and I'm not going to tell you how old she is because it makes me sound really old. So, happy birthday to Tara. Monday, like you said, our offices were closed, went over to the court, or the probation department, saw the Broad Street building. Oh, I gotta skip all that because you already reported on that. That evening, had candidates night in Oberlin at First Church. Got to see Elizabeth Rummix. Remember Elizabeth Rummix and Shirley R. Johnson used to come to all of our...
How is Elizabeth?
She's doing wonderful. She looks great, happy, healthy. She says Teresa still sends her the agenda, so she keeps tabs on us. She knows what's going on. So
after Shirley passed away, she continued to come. She had some illnesses that we were aware of, but that's a private issue. I'm glad that she's still with us. I wish she could come to meetings occasionally. She was always a very classy lady.
Very.
Her and Shirley could be a little pointed sometimes, but they were always very, very good. And they added to our meetings significantly.
They did, definitely. So that was a really nice, well-attended event. Also, yesterday afternoon, I was over at O'Neill Healthcare, the assisted living in North Ridgeville, and we had a candidates opportunity there. Met a lot of really great elderly people who were very much paying attention to what everybody had to say, and it was a really nice place. I really liked it there. Then last evening, I did not go to our town hall meetings because they had an opiate forum at Lorain County Community College that I wanted to attend, and it was well attended by those whose mission it is to help combat the heroin epidemic, and a lot of people in the audience who have been affected by all of this. And I thought a great deal about this for a long time, and I was thinking about this as almost like a terror attack, and it's taking out a generation of our youth. And I thought about this because, heroin is so cheap, and then we come up with an antidote to bring people back to life from this and saving lives, and then they come up with fentanyl and carfentanil, and in many cases we can't bring them back to life because our first responders don't carry enough Narcan with them. So I'm thinking, why would a dope dealer want to kill their customers? Wouldn't they want them to be alive so that they continue to make money off of them? So now we're seeing fentanyl and cocaine. So people who are doing cocaine are also overdosing on fentanyl. So I'm looking at this as more like a chemical warfare, maybe not like the ones that we've seen in the past, but the outcome is the same. And we have people unknowingly buying drugs laced with this deadly concoction of all these crazy designer drugs. So I'm convinced that we're not fighting a war on drugs, that we're actually in the midst of a chemical warfare, and we need to do what we can to fight this. And I just hope to God that everybody that goes out and votes on November 8th will vote for issue 35 for the Alcohol and Drug Board, because gosh, if we don't get that money I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, people are I'm tired of watching the obituaries every day and seeing 2 young people die every day. So
it's not just issue 35. We have our drug and crime lab and the coroner levy on the ballot, which is needed to support the efforts to eliminate some of that in the community. Fentanyl is terrible. It's a synthetic drug. It's cheap. It's 1,000 times more potent than heroin, so it's being mixed into just about everything right now, and my understanding it's fairly easily obtainable too. So that everybody keeps talking about the heroin epidemic, but most of the heroin now is laced with the fentanyl.
Right. And they said some of this stuff, you don't even have to do it. If you just touch it, if you just it goes through your skin, and you could overdose just touching this stuff. So, I mean, it's chemical warfare. That's what it is. It's not a war on drugs. You don't have a war on a thing. A war is on people, and this is killing our people.
I thought it was interesting, and just one night, you were at the drug forum over at Lorain County Community College. I know the Avon Lake group that's working on the drug issue had their meeting in Avon Lake the same time, the same night. And when we had our town hall meeting the other night, the dominant part of that conversation was the challenge of the county coroner's office to keep up with everything, the use of the crime lab in this fight against the war on drugs, the sheriff's challenges, the prosecutor having a difficult time keeping up with all the crime-related cases associated with the drug epidemic. And it is an epidemic. I wish the administration would realize that, and instead of sitting on a $2 billion surplus down there, I actually start sending this money back to the communities. And I've told the story over and over again about the state thought it was a great plan to come up with 400 treatment beds in the state. Now, that's great. That's a step forward, but 400 treatment beds certainly wasn't going to solve the problems in so many of the counties across the state. When you have 88 counties and you're talking about adding 400 treatment beds. So, you know, we save these people, we bring them back to life. Law enforcement's telling me sometimes because the heroin is laced with such strong additives that they're having to apply Narcan, 6 cans, 7 cans of this stuff to actually bring the people back. And then we hear they get to the emergency room, they get to the hospital, and hours later they have to apply it because there's so much in their system.
The Narcan wears off, and then they're still back into overdose mode, so they have to give it to them again.
And now we're hearing the very disturbing stories about what they're calling resurrection parties, where users are getting together and somebody in the room makes sure that they've got the Narcans with them, and then if somebody overdoses at the party, that's the person that is designated to bring them back to life. So
I think that's not the norm. I think that's like maybe happened once or twice. I don't think they're having those kind of parties, really. I think I don't think that's going on very often.
Well, it's certainly creating, I think, some kind of false sense of security, with the Narcan, but you've got to go beyond that, and you got to be able to have treatment facilities for people to turn their lives around. And as I said, I've seen the success stories in Columbus with the Faces of Recovery. People have turned around their lives, and now they've got full-time jobs, they own homes, they've gone to college, they're supporting their families.
Just for an interjection, people are going to say, well, why should I pay for that? Why should I pay for services when people select a lifestyle or make choices in life that cause this kind of grief and misery? The simple answer is they've made the wrong choices. They've made the wrong selections. However, if we don't get them back on a path that is better for them, they continue to drag down the community. We all know that drugs lead to violence. Eventually, that leads to robberies. It leads to home break-ins. And it's a never-ending cycle of crime and misery. So if you don't really care about the people that are addicted, and you're not compassionate enough to want to help them, help yourself, because we need to remove this from the community, because it has an exponential effect on the safety and well-being of our communities. So at least vote yes for this service. If nothing more, then it'll keep your property value up. It'll keep your community safer, even if you disagree with those folks and don't want to actually help those people, because it's going to drag the whole community down.
Right.
Because I hear a lot of people saying that.
Because they're either going to be in jail or treatment. Treatment costs a lot of money too. So. Yeah,
well,
one way or the other, they're going to pay.
I was sitting talking to a group the other night, and they said, well, these people, they chose to take these drugs. Why should I pay more taxes to try to help them? Statistically speaking, we do know that the success rate at these treatment programs is low. It usually takes a couple tries at it before they're successful, and there's those people that will not be successful. But I told these people, we have to have these services in our community, because our community will continue to deteriorate around this problem. And then you pay more for law enforcement, you pay more for ambulance service, you pay more for firefighting services if they do the EMT. And of course, if there's a drug problem in the community, eventually property values fall, it becomes unsafe. Does that happen overnight? No. Does it happen next month, 3 months? No. It takes a few years. But we need to get in front of the problem so those things don't continue.
These individuals are someone's son, daughter, wife, husband, brother, sister. It's our responsibility to help these folks hopefully get their lives back together.
That was the end of my report. So
That's the end. Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Had the chance to attend the NOACA's annual update meeting in downtown Cleveland, and NOACA continues to play a vital role in the planning process, especially in a county like ours, which is a rapidly growing county with rapidly growing communities. I can't stress enough about the important role that NOACA plays and the valuable resources they bring to the table. And things are going very well at NOACA, and it's always important that we as a community and as a county support that organization. And obviously we're, voting members of that board too. So Manufacturing Month on Friday at Parker, just really interesting to see how their work with hydraulics and everything else have played a interesting role in the new development of helping people walk again, which I thought was fascinating.
That was really cool.
When you can use their the technology to help people actually get back on their feet again, and that's stuff that they're very excited about in addition to the regular things that they do. Also had the chance to, as the commissioner pointed out, march with her in the Avon Lake Homecoming Parade, probably one of the best days we've had for that parade. Normally it's raining or very cold, but it was a great day for that, and a good turnout for that as well too. Want to congratulate the Kiwanis for putting on another successful pancake breakfast, which they do every Sunday at the Avon Lake Homecoming. And I went inside and met with the vendors in Avon Lake High School auditorium there, or gymnasium, I guess I should say, and had several lengthy conversations with members in that community about their concern about the heroin epidemic. And so it's impacting everyone. The deputy steak fry, very good turnout for that. Can't say enough about the amazing work that our deputies do all the time, protecting the citizens of the county with the very limited resources that they have, but they do a very good job of completing their mission each and every day. Congratulations to members of Life Church in Grafton. Had the yearly church cookout down there with Pastor Algrim, and I had a chance to participate in that, and just really a great group of people there. The firefighters' memorial service was held in Avon Lake on Monday. Had the opportunity to attend that. Can't say enough about our hometown heroes, who are the first responders. But that was a very good ceremony there. And thank you to everyone who turned out. Good conversation, good participation at our town hall in Sheffield Village, our State of the County update. And I'd like to let everybody know our next State of the County Town Hall will be held on October 19th. That's next Wednesday at New Russia Township Hall. As we pointed out, thanks to the leaders in New Russia for all that they're doing, and thanks for making that hall available for our town hall meeting. And early voting has started. And boy, is it important to get out and vote. So a lot of key decisions to be made in this county, and unfortunately there's too many efforts in the country to try to suppress the vote. So get out there and show people that your vote counts, and that you take it seriously. And then, as I always say, once you vote, you can complain all you want to complain, because you voted. Thank you. That completes my report.
Today at 2 o'clock, we're going to have our Records Commission. Next Tuesday, the 18th at 11, we'll have the Stormwater Management meeting. Board correspondence?
I move that we approve the board correspondence and waive the reading.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Public comment?
Anyone wishing to participate in public comment this morning? Good morning, sir.
No, they're not
those
coming.
ladies
They're leaving.
they're going back to work across the street there. So, yeah. Good morning to you. If you could just state your name and address for the record.
Iman Hasan, 1323 West 9th Street, Lorain, Ohio. Again, peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum only means the peace of God and blessings be upon all of us. Obviously, with all the kind of things that happen in our community with the opiate problems, and that's another topic that all we can talk about. But obviously, we need to be more responsible in our efforts, in our sincerity in terms of helping people that need those kind of services. Because there's a saying: if you don't arrest evil, evil will arrest you. I'm here to talk about the Holy Day of Atonement, which is the 20th anniversary of the A Million Man March. But more importantly, is this year we're celebrating the legacy of Muhammad Ali, and we chose Muhammad Ali obviously with the mean-spirited kind of things in terms of with the elections, with Donald Trump, whoever have you. We wanted to choose one that exemplified the spirits of whether you were a Muslim, Christian, whatever you were. He exemplified the kind of truth and the kind of efforts that he did to make the world a better world to live. And this is going to be our celebration of Muhammad Ali this year. And Friday is going to be the Muhammad Ali Conflict Resolution initiative. That initiative obviously is going to be working with, obviously we're talking about this opiate problem. The problem with the opiate is not only just those who are affected by it, but those we talk about young men who are selling drugs. That has to be dealt with. So you have a situation where addiction there and addiction here. So the initiative is going to be calling these, we can't obviously say who are selling whatever have you, but the initiative on Friday night is to get them to come out, young men who are disillusioned, don't have jobs, opportunities, to talk about in the spirit of Ali, which the initiative will take place January 17th. We're kicking it off on Friday, but it's to serve 75 hours of service in the spirit of Muhammad Ali, and that will start in January. So the effort is to get those to commit themselves to 75 hours. Lastly, again, the scourge, I hear we talk about the opiate. It's fine for us to talk about the developments, and it's fine for us to talk about building many things in this county, but if we don't get a handle on this whole issue with opiates, now I heard you say that the heroin years ago, heroin was one of the drugs. I mean, many of us, maybe my age, but heroin was a problem a long time ago. You didn't die off of heroin, you didn't die. The problem now is you're dying from the fentanyl and the heroin. I don't know, many of you seen yesterday, there's a young man who was robbing drugstores. Okay, he robbed one of the drugstores and he had a gun that obviously wasn't real. Well, he left the drugstore. He robbed many more drugstores, but he got in the car and he ran into officers in Westlake, got out of the car and he saw a plague, not a plague gun, but a real gun, and he shot and killed him. These are the kind of chances that these young men are taking. And lastly, there's a group that's called the Heartless Felons. These young men have taken upon themselves and have kind of permeated our community with the drug sales of the opiates and the heroin. So what we have to do is go to the streets, whether you're pastors, whether you're clinicians, whoever you may be, we have to go to the streets and begin to let our people know, let the community know that we stand. We just can't sit back and say, well, the problem is not our problems, like the gentleman just said, and not be sincere and want to be helpful to those who are suffering so bad. Lastly, I want to, again, the Saturday will be the October 15th, which will be at God's Kingdom. That would be the greater, broader celebration of Muhammad Ali at God's Kingdom's Church, and that would be open to the public. And we're asking all to come out to and join us, whatever your faith may be, whatever your race may be, to join us in this historic effort. I bought a banner we got someone made for us, and I wanted the commissioners to kind of want to roll it out. It's a very nice banner. It's not a Lorain banner. It's a banner that this gentleman made, and to personify the efforts and the life of Muhammad Ali. And I wanted the commissioner to take a picture with the commissioner we can put on Facebook. But again, I want to thank you, the commissioners. Well, many of you, I've been knowing you many years, and I just met Mr. Lundy not too long ago. But obviously, want to commend you on your work that you do as far as the commissioner. May God bless all of you. Peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum.
Unroll it and we'll get a picture on the camera first.
Right. Yeah.
Ron will help you here.
We'll come
Oh,
back
very
this way a little
nice.
bit. Wow, that's great.
Ooh.
That's very nice. Very, very nice.
Gerald, I'm gonna sleep
And there's more information. Okay. Thank you very much. Muhammad Ali, a great selection.
Thank you.
He's the champ in more ways than one.
That's right.
Thank
for
you.
sure. So.
Thank you very much, Anna.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Have a
you.
good day.
Good luck with that.
Anybody else?
Anyone else wishing to participate in public comment? Seeing no one else, I would move that we go into executive session, discuss personnel issues that were outlined by the county administrator and legal issues outlined by the assistant prosecutor.
Second.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.
She had a smile that would light up a room. She had a passion for basketball. Then she picked up golf, and she was a natural with that. She really enjoyed the game.
The one thing that caught us truly off guard going towards the end is we didn't realize how badly she felt about herself. Look at the pictures. Why would we think she had a self-esteem problem? But the fact of the matter is that was one of the major engines that drove her to areas where she really didn't need to go, didn't have to go.
My spoons started to disappear. And I'm not talking, one or two. It'd be like, okay, I have like 3 spoons left.
And I remember I had $150 some in my wallet. I had, when I went to pay that, I had $75. And of course she started crying. And yes, I came down. Yes, I took your credit card. Yes, I used it.
And I remember going to court the next day and beautiful Marin, and then bringing her in, shackles on her ankles in these prison uniform. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, how did we get here? I was just numb.
She needed the money to pay some people back, and she needed the money to trade the gas for the heroin.
If you would have asked us, what do you know about heroin? I would have said a street drug, a junkie's drug. Not something that you hear about on TV. It's not something that you would find in a community like Pickerington or any suburb. I mean, every day was that we have to keep her alive. We have to save her. If she said she was going to a meeting, I would follow ahead of time and sit in the parking lot and see her walk in, because I could breathe again, because she showed up. We got one more day. She's sober one more day. She never even had a car, but she still found a way to get it because they would just bring it to the house when we were sleeping.
I remember walking into the apartment, and I've never heard such a horrendous scream in all my life. When I went up and walked through that bathroom door and saw him there holding my daughter, I knew immediately she'd passed away.
I know she really wanted to make it. And I know she doesn't want to see any other family go through what we have gone through, and I know she wants me to talk about it. And I found her journal. that I bought for her. In her journal, she wrote a goodbye letter to heroin. Dear heroin, before I met you, I was full of life, at least from what I thought. But then problems started coming my way that gave me the excuse to meet you. It was like love at first sight. Not only did you do things for me, but boy did I do things for you. I lied to my family, friends, and even more importantly, I lied to myself. I would steal and cheat for you. I would risk my freedom and my life for you. But our relationship went to hell when the first and last time you really almost took me away forever. You had me for 7 minutes. I won this battle, and I will never have to suffer again. Sincerely, your worst enemy, Marin Briggs. She still went back to it. That it was still because of the grip it had on her.
Do I miss her every day? Oh, sure.
We can't bring her back, and we can't go back. But if we can help other people by telling our story, then that's what we have to do.